They called it Operation Fortitude, a plan so audacious, so brilliantly deceptive, it changed the course of World War II. But few know the mastermind behind it all. He was a Serbian lawyer, a charming businessman, and arguably the most successful spy of the 20th century. They called him Tricycle. He walked a tightrope between two worlds, betraying the Nazis while secretly working for British intelligence. He played both sides, feeding them lies and truths, risking his life every single day. The man who fooled Hitler and may have saved the world. But how did he do it? And what secrets did he take to his grave? This is the story of Dusko Popov, the real-life James Bond. Dusko Popov was born in 1912 in what is now Serbia, from a Yugoslav father and a German mother. He had a privileged upbringing. Details about his early life are somewhat scarce in available public sources, but it's known he received a solid education and pursued a career in law and business. His cosmopolitan lifestyle and fluency in multiple languages, including German, made him a natural networker. It was this network and his sophisticated demeanor that caught the attention of the Abwehr, German military intelligence, who recruited him in 1940. Initially, his tasks involved gathering information on Allied activities, primarily from Portugal, a neutral country at the time. This allowed him to travel freely and interact with various intelligence networks. His charm and sophisticated demeanor helped him gain the trust of German officials. His mission from the Abwehr was to bring back a laundry list of data about American military defenses and industrial capacity. However, with time, Popov's personal beliefs grew further from Nazism. He had despised Hitler even before the Germans invaded Yugoslavia. Just a couple of years after joining the Germans, he decided to take the riskiest decision to make at that time, which is to play for the opposition team, the MI6. Popov offered his services as a double agent. This pivotal decision transformed him from a seemingly willing collaborator into a key player in the Allied war effort, using his access to German intelligence to feed misinformation and gather crucial intel for the Allies. His first mission from the British was to tip off the Americans about Japan's sinister interest in Pearl Harbor. This is when things start to get serious. Making these videos is extremely time-consuming. That's why we use many tools to speed up the process, including Fellow AI, an all-in-one research platform that makes gathering and analyzing information incredibly fast and easy. For example, I can ask it to find me a GPU for my PC. Not only will it find it, it'll also add it to my card. Fellow isn't just a browser, it also does research across all of the platforms that enhances your clean summaries, organizes results, and generates even full-on reports. With Fellow's AI agent assistant, you can have it book meetings on your calendar, share LinkedIn posts for you, or even message a colleague on Slack, all with one click. On top of that, it builds professional presentations using its beautiful design templates and themes. So, if you're looking to simplify complex research while saving time, try Fellow AI for free using the link in the description. On March 18, 1941, an accident took place in the crowded streets of New York's Times Square. Normally, an accident like this would not make news. After all, such things happen frequently. But this incident was different. The victim, while lying on the ground, was then run over by a second vehicle that sped away. The man died the next day in a New York hospital. In his possession was a Spanish passport under the name Don Julio Lopez Lido. New York police officers traced the man to the Taft Hotel in New York City. Upon searching his room, they were shocked to find secret documents, including a report on the defenses of the U.S. Army base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and nearby Hickam Field. This information was turned over to the FBI, and after a thorough investigation, Don Julio Lopez Lido was identified as Hans Ulrich von Oertzen, a top member of Germany's military intelligence service, the Abwehr, who had been sent to the United States to set up a spy ring. Unknown to the FBI was that the death of von Oertzen would lead to another spy case involving Great Britain, the United States, and Germany. It would also involve two of the most influential spy masters in the United States, William Donovan, who would later become director of the Office of Strategic Services, the forerunner of CIA, and J. Edgar Hoover, director of the FBI. At the center of this international spy game was Dusko Popov, With the death of their spy in New York, the Abwehr decided that Popov should be sent to the United States to fill the vacancy. Popov left for the United States in early August 1941. He carried with him $58,000 provided by the Abwehr to set up his New York espionage network. That decision by the leadership of the Abwehr was a boon for Popov and an intelligence disaster for the Germans. First, he had to make a small side trip to the posh casinos in Estoril. As the dashing Popov gambled at the roulette tables and made a killing using his Nazi-provided funds, a man stood only a few feet from him, watching his every move. That man was Commander Ian Fleming of the British Naval Intelligence Service, who had been dispatched to watch Popov's every move. When Fleming created his famous fictional spy, James Bond, it is widely believed that he used Popov as his basis for the character in his book Casino Royale. After his stop at the casino, Popov took a cab to the posh Waldorf Astoria Hotel, overlooking Park Avenue in New York City. Just before he left for the United States, 29-year-old Popov had been given a vital new piece of spy paraphernalia by the Abwehr. It was a list of questions written on a microdot that would allow pages of information to be reduced to the size of a pinhead. The microdot was affixed to a telegram, which Popov kept on his person at all times. Popov contacted the FBI and asked that someone come to meet with him. To his disappointment, he had to wait 5 long days until the Bureau responded. He was finally met by Agent James Foxworth, who was the FBI's bureau chief in New York. Popov handed over the microdot. As Agent Foxworth began to read its contents, he knew he had something extremely important. The paper contained a list of questions that the Germans wanted answered for their allies, the Japanese. Among the queries were information on American defenses at the giant naval base at Pearl Harbor, including the exact locations of the air bases at Hickam, Wheeler, and Kaneohe airfields, sketches of military bases, the depths of the water inside the harbor, and the number and locations of any anti-torpedo nets. If FBI personnel had been paying any attention, they would have noticed that the material carried by Popov was the same as that found in the room of German agent Hans Ulrich von Oertzen only 5 months before. Foxworth gave Popov's questionnaire to Hoover, who did not trust Popov, believing that he was still working for the Germans. Another strike against Popov was his playboy lifestyle. He was a flagrant womanizer who had engaged in numerous affairs, including one with actress Simone Simon and her mother. Some said that the nickname Tricycle was inspired by his passion for the company of 2 women at a time, if you know what I mean. Popov's every move was watched closely by the FBI. The Abwehr was also beginning to have second thoughts about its prize agent, becoming suspicious that he might have been turned. But each time the Germans start questioning his loyalty, he would send false intel to quiet them down. He would soon become a pawn in the looming intelligence battle between FBI Director Hoover and his nemesis, William Donovan. Hoover distrusted the British and their secret relationship with Donovan, and the fact that they were loaning Popov to the United States rankled him greatly. When Hoover received Popov's Pearl Harbor questionnaire, he did a curious thing. Instead of handing it over to Bill Donovan or the president, Hoover doctored the questions, gave nothing to Donovan, and took out the Pearl Harbor queries when he finally sent the questionnaire to the White House. In late November 1941, under the watchful eye of the FBI, Popov received orders from the Abwehr, sending him to Rio de Janeiro. December 7, 1941, Japanese warplanes screamed from the sky, unleashing a fiery hell upon Pearl Harbor. Within minutes, battleships became burning tombs. Thousands of American lives were lost in a surprise attack that plunged the nation into war. All of this could have been avoided if Hoover had taken Popov's intel seriously. But the story is far from over, as Popov ultimately managed to change the course of history. Popov returned to the United States 1 week after the Pearl Harbor attack. He was furious with the way he had been treated by the FBI and wondered why the Americans had not taken his warnings seriously. To cut any further losses concerning Popov, the British decided he should be returned to London as soon as possible. But that would be difficult to accomplish without blowing his cover with the Germans and possibly getting him killed. Popov left New York and arrived in Lisbon, Portugal. He went to meet Ludovico von Karstoff, his Abwehr controller. Popov truly believed he got burned and he was going to get into a room and never make it out. But oddly, things went normal. Popov took a big chance and berated von Karstoff for not providing him with enough funds to set up his espionage network in America. I'm pretty sure this was the most effective form of gaslighting ever. Karstoff told Popov to lay low until further instructions, and in 1943, he returned to Britain. Things were about to get serious. Faced with the 2 million German soldiers present in France, the Allies knew they would quickly be outnumbered. The Battle of Normandy was doomed to fail, unless somehow the German command thought that there would be another invasion in another place, maybe in the Pas-de-Calais, closer to the English coast and conducive to an attack that would directly reach Germany. Even though the Normandy landings were the only ones planned by the Allies, it was necessary to persuade the Wehrmacht that the attack on June 6th was a diversion hiding a second landing. This is when a risky deception operation had to be made, and this was when Popov's skills came into play. Popov was well aware that this operation was almost impossible to pull off on his own. He needed help, other double agents. Among them was Eddie Chapman, a former safecracker, and Elvira Chaudoir, daughter of a French diplomat. The whole operation needed to be executed in 2 stages. Popov and company used detectable fake radio conversations to make it appear that Norway was on the Allies' radar. As Popov anticipated, the Germans swallowed the bait. It was then time for the second and most difficult phase of the plan, Fortitude South. Popov and his crew suggested that the Allies needed to create a fake army, something that was never tried before. This fake army would be called First United States Army Group, which clearly didn't exist. They used inflatable tanks, dummy aircraft, and fake radio transmissions to make it seem like a large force was preparing for an invasion. This made the Allies' troops appear to be larger than they actually were, a crucial step for the next part of the plan, misinformation. Popov and his crew of double agents kept feeding the Germans false information about the Allies' intention to invade Pas-de-Calais rather than Normandy. Karstoff doubted the integrity of the information, but those who received it in Berlin did not. The date is June 6, 1944, also known as D-Day. Following the fake army operation and the misinformation regarding the Allies' intentions to attack Pas-de-Calais, the Germans moved a large sum of their fleets to the supposed location. The plan worked perfectly. The same day, the Allies made the infamous Normandy landings. This monumental event marked the beginning of the Allied invasion of Normandy during World War II. The massive amphibious assault on the beaches of Normandy resulted in thousands of Nazi casualties, an operation that paved the way for the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi occupation. After the smoke cleared from World War II, Popov traded the shadows of espionage for the world of business, embracing British citizenship and a new chapter. The man who knew too much and whose warnings were ignored left behind a legacy of both heroism and haunting what-ifs. Subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.